Good afternoon. Seeing as it is 3 o'clock, I'd like to start this agenda priorities meeting for the town of Innisfail. I would first like to start with our land acknowledgement from Councillor McKellar, please.
The town of Innisfail acknowledges that we are meeting on Treaty 7 territory, the ancestral and traditional territory of the Blackfoot Confederacy, Kainai, Piikani, and Siksika, as well as the Tsuut'ina First Nation and Stoney Nakoda First Nation. We acknowledge that this treaty is home to the Métis Nation of Alberta Region 3 within the historical Northwest Métis homeland. I'm reading over this again. We acknowledge many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit who have lived in and cared for these lands for generations. We are grateful for the traditional knowledge keepers and elders who are still with us today and those who have gone before us. We make this acknowledgement as an act of reconciliation and gratitude to those whose territory we reside on.
Thank you. Moving into 2.1, any additions or deletions? All right. So then we will move into I guess we'll have to make a motion to accept our agenda as presented.
Deputy Mayor, I make the motion to accept the agenda as presented.
Thank you. All those in favor? Carried. All right, moving on to 2.2. Pardon me, we're going to move into 3.1, Alberta AbMunis resolution request.
Thanks, Deputy Mayor. Council has been approached by the City of Red Deer to act as a seconder for a draft resolution which will be presented to the AbMunis convention in this fall. The proposed resolution advocates the province to consider changes to the current LGFF payment structure to reduce the need for municipalities to carry project costs prior to receiving the approved LGFF grant dollars. Although the town of Innisfail is not greatly impacted by carrying costs, etc., we do have cash flow. Perhaps in larger urbans, some of the carrying costs could be significant. The carrying costs may include such things as interim borrowing, utilizing reserves, or just a basic cash flow. As stated, the information is there for council consideration. Just looking today, council, if you're interested to, if you need further information or just your feedback on if you wish to act as a seconder for the City of Red Deer.
All right, so if there's anyone that would like to move the motion for discussion.
Deputy Mayor, do we need to make a motion or here or?
I think
it's really up to council. If you typically you would, but depends circumstances. You may want to have the dialogue prior. Okay. It's up to council.
So dialogue prior is more than acceptable.
Yeah. Deputy Mayor, I have a question too. Just administration's opinion on this. It makes sense to me. I mean, the quicker you can get the cash, the better it is for everyone. I just want to see if administration would agree with that opinion.
Yeah, either way is good. It's not really a big issue for the town of Innisfail. If council wish to proceed, it's good, it's positive. To say no is also fine. Again, it's just administrative piece to help urbans or municipalities that require some cash flow to utilize this means. So from my perspective, it has no negative bearing on Innisfail. Does that impact us directly? I'd say it doesn't. Just the way the resolution reads a little bit is, it almost appears that it's the government of Alberta's projects. It's not. It's our projects that we're supported by grant dollars. So just want to clarify that. But my advice to you would consider being a seconder for this resolution.
Okay. Thanks, Deputy Mayor.
Any further discussion? Yes, Councillor Heistad.
Yeah, Deputy Mayor Donnie. I think, for myself, I think this makes sense for our community. And the resolution, the recommendation is pretty, straightforward in my mind. So if everybody feels comfortable with it, I'll make that recommendation when in due time.
Anything further? I do have one question. Understanding that this is just municipalities, would this at all trickle down to impacting Red Deer County? Or this, like, just because obviously with being one of our main, one of our allies, I would say, obviously if they're funding, if they could access funding sooner as well, it would be beneficial to us potentially.
To your question, Deputy Mayor, it's for all Alberta municipalities,
All,
both
okay.
urban, rural, and
Okay.
improvement districts.
Okay. Were you welcome to make that motion?
Yeah. I recommend that council receive the report regarding the Alberta Municipalities Resolution request respecting local government fiscal framework, LGFF, funding cash flow reform for information, and that council will consider whether the town of Innisfil will formally second the proposed Alberta Munis resolution submitted by the city of Red Deer at the May 25th, 2026 regular council meeting.
Okay, with that motion being made, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Carried. Okay, we'll be moving on to 3.2 in regards to Bill 28 and the impacts of public libraries.
So this report, council, is stemming from a motion council made at the April 11th meeting to write a letter to the government about Bill 28 and the changes to the Libraries Act more specifically. There's also been some mention to what are the changes, which is directed this report. This report and attachments outline what is included in Bill 28 in relation to libraries and municipal affairs and housing statutes. Just found out today through correspondence from the government that Bill 28 has received royal assent as of last Thursday. What I'm seeing so far is that growth and housing and governance accountability and municipal transparency appears to be the first items to be come into play. Libraries would come later in the spring. What will happen now is we'll get correspondence on exact dates and any procedural type of advice for us to move these legislative requirements forward. So the report's quite descriptive of what Bill 28 is. If there's any questions of council, if you require additional information.
Okay. Okay, I guess sorry. Go ahead,
Thanks,
Councillor.
Deputy Mayor. Actually, through to Councillor McKellar, I would assume that they're going to probably be making, and maybe CAO can answer this, some regulations that come out of this, right? That's where the details come out. So just wondering if you'll provide us an update from your library board when those regulations come out and potential impact, or whether the town will.
Councillor Russell's questions, we'll get those regulations too. We'll get that information and we'll keep council afloat of what they are.
And Deputy Mayor, through to Councillor Russell and CAO Becker. Yeah, I just got correspondence shortly after it received royal assent, and some new strategies are coming forward around how we'll go forward with the regulations at this point.
Okay.
Deputy Mayor,
Yes,
just a comment, as a past board member from the Innisfil Public Board, as well as the Parkland Regional Libraries Board, and it's truly just a comment, and that is our libraries are completely transparent and completely accountable to the province of Alberta without Bill 28. They have to do annual reporting. There's the collection that's owned by Parkland is reported and scrutinized at the regulatory level already. So if this conversation or if this bill has caused anyone in the community to think that there are things going on at the library that should not be going on, it's incorrect. So, I mean, it'll be interesting to see how this all plays out. Certainly having inspectors taking a look at people's borrowing history and that kind of thing is unfortunate, but just to assure people in our own community that the library here is absolutely accountable and transparent.
Okay, so we would have to accept this for information, is that correct? Okay, I'd entertain a motion to accept this for information, please. Councillor McKellar?
Deputy Mayor, I make the motion that council accepts the report on Bill 28 impacts to public libraries as information.
Perfect. Anything further? No? All those in favor? Carried. All right, 3.3, sponsorship program development.
All right. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. So we're looking to provide council with an opportunity to provide some insight and direction to administration with respect to vision and scope for facility sponsorship opportunities. Back in March, council approved a motion directing administration to bring back a report outlining our current sponsorship programs and looking at practices that we could build financial assets for our town facilities. So looking to have some discussion today to help map out some next steps. So again, the town currently provides opportunities for advertising in exchange for payment at the arena and skate park. A package for the aquatic center is currently under development. Again, these opportunities are basically sort of if someone comes and asks. We are not actively soliciting businesses and looking for sponsorship. We have our package available. If someone wants to, we essentially administer that process. Opportunities certainly exist to expand and modernize these practices. But again, given the specific nature of this type of work and staff capacity, we would likely be looking at external expertise for sure on the front end, if not on a more ongoing basis, to be looking to create the program and then develop those relationships with businesses and other potential sponsors. Essentially, a scope of work for this type of project would include inventorying our current assets, so determining what we want to make available for sponsorship. Is it focused on sort of our big facilities, arena, pool? Is it getting into other types of facilities? Then developing sort of a value of those opportunities and what the potential revenue generation could be, and then looking to develop that program of how we would be looking to solicit those sponsorships and then maintain that over time. I know even with our current program, that administration and maintenance over time, it's one thing to get the initial sponsorship, but the following up and the periods of time and those agreements that go along with it are something that we need to keep in mind as well. So really looking for some feedback from council in terms of sort of vision, scope, and objectives that may be looked for with respect to facility sponsorship.
Thank you, Director Jenkins. Councillor Heistad, I see you have your mic on.
Yeah, Deputy Mayor, I'd like to make a few comments about this as well as the previous policy in January that we have passed, and then I want to ask Councillor Wing if I'm on that same track that she was with the asset development piece. You know, we passed a motion in January for sponsorship packages, and dealing with that in the arena, I think it was mainly Director Jenkins. So I think, one of the groups would be the Innisfil Eagles that primarily is involved with the sponsorship packages at the arena. In that discussion for that particular policy, I do think there's opportunities, and this is where it kind of ties in with the work that is before us, is that I think there's a way to evaluate the opportunities to name things, to market our arena, all our facilities itself, naming rights, sponsorships, and all those. But what I was trying to kind of land at the last policy was there's user groups that we have who have those relationships with businesses or individuals or people that may want to donate money or be part of that sponsorship package. And that's what I was trying to get across is you got really good user groups like the Mavs, the Eagles, the Innisfil skating club, you got minor hockey. They have relationships that can make it easier for the town to sell sponsorship. It depends on where we land on this, but that's what I was trying to get across in January. So I see that as an opportunity, but for us to evaluate the opportunity that the asset development that Councillor Wing was speaking to, I think there's a lot more work that we need to do. It may be contracting that out to see how do we develop a playbook for this opportunity. And we don't have anybody in-house that can do this work as is. So I see opportunities for us as a community. I see opportunities for our partners, like the skating club and the Eagles and the Mavs and all those guys, or all those groups itself. And I think those are the groups, as well as having some outside help to have us land and to bring in revenue for the community would be great. So that's where I stand on it, but I thought I'd lay down the track for January when I was speaking to it, because I think I came across like I had two heads in that discussion, Director Jenkins, and then as well as this one is we've never taken this on. So those are my comments. Thanks.
Okay. I guess if there was one of the only topics, like my input on some of this as well, is it is can be very onerous on the one entity that is supposed to take that on, because if you're going to have the handful of service groups or clubs that you've just listed, everyone wants a piece of the pie, and it's all about their own fundraising, and they want those fundraising dollars to end up in their organization. And if it does go to, like, there's a lot of questions I guess I have is you know, if there's one collective, how does it get dispersed? How does that all work? And I understand that would be part of what this would hopefully flush out. But yeah, there's the ongoing follow up with all the different sponsors, and then, you know, what you get this year, do you get the same next year, and all the other costs. So there's a lot to it, and I understand you made the motion, but there is a lot more in depth, and I think for this to be successful, there definitely needs to be some dollars assigned to a consultant or whatever it may be to really make it successful, in my opinion. Councillor Wing.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. So thank you for bringing this back. It's always good to review exactly what exists, and I appreciate the comment in the document that talks about the fact that we simply don't have the capacity internally to actively solicit sponsorship from businesses. And that's a problem that, you know, many organizations exist. And you could have lots of people, but not just anybody is good at soliciting anything when it comes to sponsorships or donations. It takes a special skill set to be able to ask somebody for money. So when I brought this notice of motion forward, just from a timing perspective, the mayor of Okotoks at that time had put on LinkedIn sort of a shout out to a community organization, a business that had made a large donation, and their name was going to be put on one of their facilities. But she talked about the numbers of organizations that would benefit from the fact that there had been a contribution that was going to keep a major facility open. And so I think it was one of their arenas. And so, you know, it was a question of saying like hockey and figure skating and the general public, and listing the numbers of groups that actually benefit from having, from giving businesses and individuals the opportunity to provide donations or sponsorship. I think there is value in, and I don't want to see a large contract issued if we're not 100% sure that this is something that we want to do. That doesn't seem to make much sense to me. And I also want to say the whole world of sponsorships and philanthropic donations is vast, and it's quite different. Both of them are very different. And so there, in addition to the work that we have done, there would be an additional body of work that needed to be done. But I think it's worthwhile. I think it's worthwhile considering. I think that we have lots of businesses in our community, both in the town and in the region, that would love to see their names on things. It's good advertising for them. That's one of those areas that we need to be able to provide value back to them, to say, this many people saw your sign, this many people ate at your restaurant because they saw your sign, that kind of thing. But more than that, from a local as well as a regional perspective, we have a very philanthropic community that we live in, and I know that there are individuals as well as families that, through legacies and some really active giving, would love to see their family's names on, or an individual's names on something or someplace that would be of value in our community. So I hope that I hope this can come back to an actual council meeting, our next council meeting, perhaps, so we can make a motion to set the wheels in motion to get this body of work done. And at the same time as that body of work is being done, an understanding of what the work will be and who will be actually doing it.
Thank you. Councillor Russell?
Thanks, Deputy Mayor. I think there's certainly potential here for this to evolve more. When I read through the policies we have, there's nothing in there restricting any of this from happening. I don't know how much that is shared and how many people know that the opportunities even exist for them to do that. That could be part of the issue. My only concern is I don't want to spend a lot of taxpayer money on a consultant or someone to do this, and we pay them $20,000 and they bring in 25, and well, what was the sense of that other than we get a few names up on a few walls? So I would like to see information. I know Okotoks, you mentioned that, Councillor Wing, but they're a significantly bigger community. I'd like to see what are similar sized communities doing around the province, and what type of success have they had, or what have they done that maybe we should avoid, right? Some people may have already gone down this path too, so I'd like that information before I would make a decision voting one way or other on a certain amount of dollars going towards this. But I do think at the very least we can promote this more, that these opportunities do exist for our community, for our businesses out there.
Councillor Heistad?
Yeah, Deputy Mayor, I just want to ask you and rest of council, so what's the next steps forward? Like, are we going to, do we need to make a motion today, or do we kind of just say this is for information and then go from there? Or that's where I was, that's where I'm kind of like, I think there's an opportunity here to get, set things moving forward, because we brought this up. This is the third time we've talked about this.
Yeah, so if I could interject a little bit, I feel that obviously first thing comes to mind is a business case. What would it look like? The path that Director Jenkins had already, alluded to, of having what's our inventory, what could we potentially sell, what are these, what could they even be sold for? What's the potential what's the potential revenue that could be generated? So all that through a business case, I think, would be well worthwhile. I don't see, Becker, is there thoughts on that?
Certainly look at the director. I can certainly give you my 2 bits. Business case would provide all the detail. Councillor Russell's stating, hey, what else is going on? The Rockies and the Stettlers and Sylvans and so forth, which would be part of a business case. The director is saying we don't have capacity, so part of a business case will outline, if you want to go here, here's the capacity, here's the resources we require early stages, and just some options, what role the town could play. Certainly a business case, my experience with this types of programs, it's largely municipalities subsidize recreation programming, recreation facilities already. The benefit is to the community and to the user groups already. It's different approach. Councillor Heistad is bringing forward to add in users to help perhaps with to meet a need there. That's a different approach. So we certainly need direction there, but a business case could certainly outline some of those options. So Director, does that make sense to you?
Yeah, we can certainly bring together some further information on those comparables and sort of the scale of the program in terms of what would we be talking about with respect to revenue. And we can likely get some estimates. There are some very large consulting firms that this is what they do. There would be sort of the costs for those initial inventories and project sort of framework development. And then those types of organizations often operate on a commission basis moving forward.
Councillor Heistad?
Yeah, Deputy Mayor, I'm fine with the business case coming back from Director Jenkins and our administrative team. I just want to, make sure that we're I'm not looking at just or community groups running something like this. I think there's more to this than the philanthropic side of things that Councillor Wing has brought up numerous times over the last couple of years. So, yeah, I'm good with that. So, thank you.
Councillor McKellar.
So, Deputy Mayor, through to, I guess, CAO Becker and Director. So if we took this motion and accepted as information, do we amend it just to say add the supplemental requests such as Councillor Russell had put forward?
Yeah, I would assume we would want some direction to come back so that it gets tracked on your action controls such that.
Definitely. We see clear direction. So if that's, I'd recommend that. If there's additional to the information, certainly make that clear to administration.
Okay. Is that all, Councillor McKellar? Okay. No, that's fine.
Just a comment
Councillor Wing.
before we actually make that motion, and as we build that case for support or that business case, and further to Councillor Russell's comment as well, Innisfail is a bit of a unique community in that for a community of its size, we actually have a lot of facilities. We have a lot of opportunities in Innisfail to recognize people and provide sponsorship opportunities. Just based on the number, I think we have 18 distinct recreation facilities in this community, which for a town of this size is quite unusual. So, yeah, I think that's just part of the business case that we would need to be sure that we build out a little bit on. And I'm happy to make that motion if you wish, Deputy
Okay.
Mayor.
Yes, feel
Okay.
free.
I would make the motion that we accept this report as information and ask administration to return to council with a business case to explore opportunities for sponsorship and philanthropic programs.
Okay, the motion has been made. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor? Carried. Okay. All right, so we're going to move forward to correspondence. So the town of Innisfail will be agreeable to declaring this week, May 18th to May 24th, Community Disability Service Professional Appreciation Week. So that is official. All right, obviously there's additional correspondence. Anything else that needs to be reviewed? I guess we can go to, we just want to go down the list. They're all here, it's all here for your, any discussion on any of the other correspondence we've received?
Deputy Mayor?
Yeah.
So the letter to council from, I'm trying to get to the name. Levitt. Yeah, I don't know if there's any follow-up we wish, or just take that for information right now, or if there's anything that we maybe want to consider. And maybe, I don't know the CAO, maybe you've been contacted by this individual and have responded, or?
Not directly.
Yeah, I just think if someone writes us, we should have some type of response.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Deputy Mayor?
Yes.
Can I address that? So Mrs. Levitt is here. Thank you for coming, Mona, and thank you for the letter. I think that, I agree with you. I think that when citizens take the time to put together correspondence such as this, I think that it's good for us to have that conversation and understand a little bit if there's an opportunity as a town close by to the community of Olds that's going through this situation. I don't know what the implications are of actually registering in this process, but I think that I think it's important that as we grow and as we see the province growing, that we have a good understanding around what the data centers really are and what the risks really are. And so, as I said, I don't know whether registering at this point in time is something that we should be doing, or if we are able to, through administration, keep an eye on these activities with the regulator to understand better what the issues really are. So I guess to CAO Becker, what would you recommend that is a good next step for us?
Councillor Wing, from CAO perspective, administration was to receive as information. I've not considered to give you advice on registering. I'll be honest with you, I don't know the negative part of not and by registering to be part of a process. Certainly data centers do, if there's consideration of investment of that type of facility here, it certainly would have direct impact. I'm not recognizing outside the town of Olds the direct impact to the town of Innisfil. I know there's in reference to power grids, of course, and water supply, which we're on a regional system. But right now I've not gone too far in depth to the consideration to the impact directly to the town of Innisfil.
Okay. I'm going to start, I'm not too sure who's putting their mic on first, but I'll go with Councillor McKellar and I'll work our way around, please.
Okay, first of all, I'd like to thank Mrs. Levitt as well for the letter. I think it was very well written, and it certainly piqued my interest to look into what the data centers were doing. And just here in May in the RMA newsletter, there's a great document in there called RMA Primer Data Centers, and it speaks a lot to some of the comments in this letter, and it's just for councils and municipals' considerations of looking to that. And after I looked into that, I also consider what data centers may be around us or what's currently under construction, and there is some stuff happening in North Red Deer between Black Falls and Red Deer right now, another center. And yes, there can be a drain on the power grid. You can generate your own power as well as the cooling of that system and the water usage. Just for the example of looking at this and some of the reading I did with RMA, the Synapses program in Olds would consume as much power if they weren't building their own system as the city of Edmonton takes right now. That's a pretty significant amount of power, but they'll generate their own. I would support being an observer. I've looked into what an observer is too. It's not our job to present cases. It's just to keep a handle on what's going on there. I don't want to impede the town of Olds and any of the work they're doing. I simply think it's a good idea that we watch what's going on around us, and a good move to move forward in support of becoming an observer.
Thank you. Councillor Russell.
Thanks, Deputy Mayor. A question first of all for Councillor Wing. Has the Water Commission discussed at all the potential implications of the water that this particular one in Olds would use?
Well, we have, and actually I had reached out to the Town of Olds councillor, that's the appointed rep to the Water Commission, with just a few questions about the situation there. And so according to Councillor Blatz, water use for the Synapse proposal has been estimated at roughly 3% of the Town of Olds' current consumption, which is based on what the proposal is relative to a closed loop cooling system. So if in fact that's the system that they move forward with, that the government approves, that consumes roughly 3%. The large water figures that we are seeing and hearing about she felt maybe were conflating fuel input with water consumption and not reflecting the application as submitted. That's not something that from this letter, that's just a comment that she noted from what they were hearing as well. So the Water Commission and Alberta Environment certainly have all commented and been aware without any concern relative to that. And for reference, the cannabis plant, so currently Olds has 2 proposed data centers. One of them is in a brand-new development in an industrial area on the northeast corner of Olds, directly north of Olds College. And then there's another proposed site for another facility, which is their old cannabis plant. And the former cannabis plant used about 6% of the town's water capacity. So this large Synapse site that's on the northeast corner of town is roughly half of what they were already consuming at the cannabis factory.
Okay, thank you. So when I attended the Commission's annual general meeting, there certainly is capacity still within our existing lines, and they're looking to expand. But that's not saying we shouldn't be aware of what's happening. I follow what's happening in Olds as much as I can through the media releases and things that are out there. It's been an interesting process they've been going through, but I think I wouldn't be opposed to maybe asking CAO Edgar to just bring back the pure definition for all of us so we're clear what it would mean to be an observer in this process, and then if we wanted to do it at the next council meeting, we could make a motion to do that, would be my suggestion.
Councillor Heistad?
Deputy Mayor, I would concur with Councillor Russell on this. Like, I think there's a learning opportunity here for us, and appreciate the letter that we received, but I think there's a lot going on in that community, and I'll use, there's lanes that we should stay in as our own community, but also it expands out to our water, using our local water and our energy and those things. So we are involved one way or another, and that's the reality of it. I agree with Councillor Russell in the discussion today. Thank you.
Councillor Wing?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. So Mrs. Levitt's letter indicates that there's a deadline of May the 29th to be registered. So I'm wondering, CAO Becker, if it's possible, I know you're not going to be around, but is it possible for administration to come back to us next Monday with a recommendation or
For sure,
information?
Councillor Wing, we'll have that information to you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any other discussion about the letter we received? Okay, perfect. Thank you. Thanks again, Mona. We'll move forward to number 3, Olds College Common Ground. Or Blaine Calkins. We can go to whatever one is. Libraries. All right, we'll hop to that one. Okay, the Parkland Regional Library System Annual 2025 Report. Is there any discussion or highlights that should be discussed on? No? Councillor Heistad?
Deputy Mayor, I'm just going to cut to the chase. I think most of the correspondence that we've received is hopefully read. I'm going to move that we accept these as read and to move on.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so Councillor Heistad is making the motion to accept correspondence for information. All those in favor? Carried. Okay, well, we're going to enter into the roundtable discussion. Myself is first, so I will follow the paper that is in front of me to make sure I don't miss anything. Nothing impacting this week. Obviously I got a little MPC tomorrow, and we have a police and safe community meeting on Thursday as well. And that'll be all for myself. Councillor Strong.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I have the ADIA MUG meeting coming up this Thursday. Interesting enough, after the letter we received, we have Minister Grant Hunter, Minister of Environment and Protected Areas, giving us an update on the Ardley Dam and other areas around Olds. So kind of perfect timing for the letter to have come in. We've got the meeting on Thursday, so we'll have a full update for next Monday.
Thank you. Councillor Wing.
Yes, all I have to report is MPC is tomorrow, contrary to Mr. Rieberger's understanding. But I'll have a report for next week.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Councillor Heistad.
Yeah, Deputy Mayor, I may be a bit of a troublemaker today, but I wanted to update everybody that I have FCSS this week, but I also I was talking to CAO Becker the other day, and I had a question about, and I'm going to go back to Director Leith as well. We were talking about playground zones. I think it was the last meeting that we were at. Am I correct? And the concerns that we had in our community. There was an issue that had happened. So I just kind of wanted to be that guy today. I was thinking about some of the comments Director Leith had commented on. In some communities outside of Innisfail, they have the playground zone starting in the morning. I think it's, beginning of the morning, and then it finishes at 2100 in the evening, so that there's an opportunity for individuals who will understand what those hours are. It's easier for them to understand rather than looking at the clock. I guess I wanted to test the temperature with this group and process-wise was upon reflection on the discussion about safety in our community. I think it would be a good opportunity for Innisfail to actually implement similar to timelines like that in our playground zones. Like, we know that there's issues going on in these areas in town. And my other example I used with CAO Becker was I was at the school for an evening event, and it's after 4:30. People are parked along those roads, and people are going 50K, right? And it seems like the town of Innisfail's changed in the last 20 years, 25 years. You can park anywhere right in front of these schools. And at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock at night, people are ripping around town. I think it'd be much safer for a community around school zones is to have a more consistent timeline for that 30-kilometer zone in around those areas. And that's what I want to, I want to see where everybody was at today and see if there was an opportunity or an appetite to change that in our community. That's what I wanted to mention today in my roundtable.
Okay.
I'm that guy, Deputy Mayor.
So I think since the question has been brought up, if it's okay with the rest of council, we could potentially make comments now, and then we can get on to the rest of the reports if appropriate. Councillor Russell, do you have any comments to that?
Yeah, thanks, Deputy Mayor. So I guess I have the question for Director Leith. I do believe that all playground zones are half hour before sunrise, half hour after sunset. But it's just the school zones that are set to the 8 to 4:30. Am I correct? So that would just be the one area, those two streets? Because the one going down by Heritage Village is a playground zone, not a school zone.
Deputy Mayor, through to Councillor Russell and also Councillor Heistad. There was some discussion today with myself and Director Kennedy on steps forward in and around the complaint that we discussed last week in and around the traffic signals on 42nd and 52 there, and the length of that. The discussion expanded into the speed limits in and around that zone, with the intent to bring back to council, if that's council's wish, a report to discuss our options moving forward with in and around the speeds in and around that school zone.
So I guess to give my input as well, definitely, when you look at what we have for amenities in that school zone area, as well as the ball diamonds, swimming pool, like it almost seems like it's the whole corridor. It's like a campus, and with how busy all our facilities are with all the extracurricular and yeah, whether they be concerts or parent-teacher interviews, like that 4:30 definitely is. It's not really impactful because there's activities that are far beyond that. So I do agree that there needs to be, the question is should the times be expanded? Should the zone itself, should we be expanding the actual zone of what we're classifying the playground zone and school zone? There's all these collector corridors, we know where the kids are going, and I just think to have it, a 50 and all of a sudden it transition within the zone that we already know is going to have highly densified students, I think we should be maybe foreshadowing maybe a little bit further back. And yeah, so I definitely would support a report back from Director Leith and Director Kennedy.
Yeah, Deputy Mayor, we see the challenges in that area for sure. Certainly the knowledge of when school is in, school is out, the fact that we have St. Marguerite's on the same site with different days in, different days out, after school activities, all those pieces. So we recognise that.
Yeah, and it'd be challenging, obviously, to pick and choose, and this street's this street, and, it would definitely be a big education piece that, if a person were to blanket a new area, I know it's a lot of undertaking, but there'd be pushback, but I think to achieve a safe corridor and campus for, that whole 2-block section, whatever it may be, or 3, whatever it may be, I don't see it being a bad decision. But anyway, any other further discussion on this topic? Okay, seeing none, we're gonna, Councillor Russell, would you like to have any comments on your roundtable discussion?
I would, just before, do you want to make a motion to ask them to bring back a report to us on regards to that? Or should there be a motion, CAO Becker?
I don't think we had a motion last week, so, yeah, it'd be clear if you did give us a motion.
Yeah, thanks, Councillor Russell. I'll make a motion that we bring back a safety report coming back from Director Leith on school zones and playgrounds. Come back to council, regular council.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you.
Okay, and I have nothing to report. We have Policing and Safe Communities Committee meeting this Thursday, and I'll submit my written support for Monday's meeting, a report.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Councillor McKellar.
Deputy Mayor, I have 2 committee meetings this week, MPC and Parkland Library, but I do have a question, and that question is around, and I seen this last week, about, I guess, porta potties or outhouses on our playgrounds, and I'm just wondering what our policy is around that. This came up about one in Raspberry Park, and just wondering what the policy is. I've looked at other playgrounds and there's nothing there. I've concluded that where there's sports activities and fields, I see them. So just looking for some information.
Councillor McKellar. Right now, we don't provide porta potties at all playgrounds. Mainly, it becomes more of a service level request because we do have some at obviously Centennial Park as well as over at the arenas playgrounds, but that's the only locations we had. So it really comes down to an evaluation from council if directed, that if you're looking to do a service level review of all the porta potties and what it would cost to do that, we could definitely bring that back to council and provide an update in regards to the costs involved with providing porta potties at all the playgrounds.
Thanks, Deputy Mayor, through to Director Kennedy. Thanks for the information. I'm not going to put nothing forward at this time. I'm just going to observe and see what comes from it.
Okay. All right. Well, that will conclude our roundtable. For upcoming events that are listed in front of you, is there anything that is missing? And if not, it's accurate, then we will move forward.
The IDR MUG meeting is missing of the upcoming events.
When?
Thursday.
Okay.
So is the policing.
Yeah, the police got missed. Eh?
Yeah, Policing and Safe Communities, this is Thursday as well.
Okay. Perfect, thank you very much. Okay, well, I guess, well, that will conclude that. All right, and we'll move on into moving in camera. Councillor McKellar?
Deputy Mayor, I'll make the motion to go in camera. The council moves in camera as per MGA 1972-ATIA 29.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Take a quick 5 minutes, grab some water.
5.